go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for thank you, Sarah, and everybody for making me realize we should make people come outside in 4-degree weather, although it's always fun to see people. So with that, we today need to reconvene our annual meeting. And we need to reconvene our annual meeting at this time. And so we're going to present our slate. Eric, if you could share that for us, please. Don't we love technology? Makes our lives so much easier, right?
We do.
And this is our 2024, 2025 board slate. President nominee Shada Calderal, Robert Herney will stay on as our secretary. Our treasurer will be Steve Muller. Our new directors will be Nancy Kalbrenner, Alexandra Gordon, and Ryan Curo. And with that, per the bylaws, since there are no other nominees that have been put up for vote, the nomination slate goes through as presented. So with that, congratulations to our new slate for next year. We're very excited to have you all. And with that, can I ask for a motion to adjourn our annual meeting?
Second.
Thank you. And second by Lisa. Will all members of the club vote yay or nay in the chat?
Oops.
And you can stop sharing. I guess I should vote. And with that, the yays have it. And with that, we adjourn our annual meeting. And moving on, we are now convening our new meeting. We are opening the 5,687th meeting of the Rotary Club of Chicago. I am Alita Williams. I am the current president of the Rotary Club of Chicago. And we don't have the bell today, so we'll say ding. The meeting is now open. And with that, Nancy has our thought of the day.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I was thinking I should, for the thought of the day, I should probably have something by Robert Frost. But I decided.
No, absolutely not.
I was lucky enough about 20 years ago to meet an author and actually bring him to the community where I was on the Rotary at the time, Rockford, Illinois. And his name is Kent Keith. When we brought him as a speaker to Rockford, Illinois, he started telling a story about his book called Anyway, The Paradoxical Commandments. And the story was that he was a Rotarian in Honolulu, and he was at a meeting once, and someone read off this paradoxical commandments and attributed it to Mother Teresa. And he said, okay, I wrote that. And so he went back and found where he had written it when he was a student at Harvard and turned it into a book, a small book. And I love that it's called The Paradoxical Commandments, Finding Personal Meaning in a Crazy World. So it seemed perfect to read the Paradoxical Commandments today as a thought for the day. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. The biggest men and women with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men and women with the smallest minds. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs, but follow only the top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. People really need help, but may attack you if you do help them. Help people anyway. Give the world the best you have. You might get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway. I feel that says a lot about how we live as Rotarians. That's my thought for the day.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for that thought. And so now, as we move forward with our meeting, everyone, if you have questions, please type them into the chat. After our speaker, we will make sure to try to get to all of our questions. Please honor everyone's time, one question per person. Please make your questions succinct and to the point. And with that, I introduce Sarah Buck to introduce our speaker.
Hi, good afternoon. I've got a cat paw on my shoulder, so we'll see how this goes. Can you see her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a moment of levity for our meeting. This is Aria. I am pleased to introduce our speaker for today, Kerri Brown. Kerri Brown joined Community Councilor Senate of Chicago, otherwise known as C4, in February of 2021 as Chief Operating Officer and became President and CEO in August of 2021. Before coming to C4, he held a number of roles in behavioral health care, including Chief Administrative Officer, Vice President of Operations, Director of Human Resources, and Associate Counsel. Brown is a decorated veteran, having served as an officer in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Kerri earned his Juris Doctorate from the Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and his Master of Laws degree in Real Estate from the John Marshall Law School in Chicago. He is licensed and in good standing with the Illinois Bar Association, with certifications in an array of professional institutes and programs. He has experience completing large-scale projects from the idea stage through implementation. As CEO, he oversees a full staff and is involved in line items such as facilities, purchasing, human resources, information technology, food services, and transportation. You might have even seen him or C4 at your local Chicago Street Festival, where they provide information about mental health and their programs and let you spin a wheel for a prize. Current Rotary International President Gordon McAnally has prioritized mental health as one of his main initiatives. Thus, it is fitting and serves our club well to hear from our featured speaker today, Kerri Brown.
Good afternoon, all, and thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. I hope you guys don't mind. I brought some colleagues and some friends with me. I'll allow them to introduce themselves as well. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'll ask that my team not be so robust with their own individual introductions, even though they're all very, very accomplished, I promise you. And we'll start with Brandy Walker.
Yes, Brandy Walker, Director of Development and Marketing here at C4. I will also be in the chat answering questions as you have them.
Brandy. We also have Ellen Dooley.
Hi, Ellen Dooley. I'm the CFAO, combination of CFO and COO. Real glamorous, but anyway, nice to meet everyone and be here.
Thank you. And then we have Dr. Annette Love, who will also be presenting with me this afternoon.
As concisely as I can. Good afternoon. I am C4's Chief Clinical Officer. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, team. I just assumed that you didn't want me to bore you for 20 minutes, so I brought a couple of subject matter experts with me. If we could bring the slides up. We thought we would share a little bit about who we are here at C4, and then give you an idea of what community behavioral health looks like through the lens of what we do. Next slide, please. So C4 has been around for 50 years. We celebrated 50 years in 2022. I like to describe what we do as blue-collar social work. The folks here at C4 are not the folks where you sit on a couch and tell us your problems. We take care of the sickest and the poorest, some of the most vulnerable populations in the city of Chicago. And so what we'll do is we'll describe our care philosophy, who we are as an agency as well. So it's right there in the name. We're a community-focused agency. We provide quality, trauma-informed, culturally relevant behavioral health services. That is paramount to what we do, and I'll describe that a little bit more as we get deeper into the presentation. I won't read this word for word. I am confident that you guys can read it, and I don't want to bore you that much. Next slide, please. So Z4, we're a pretty lean organization. We have 194 total staff. Evan, you'll be probably pleased to see our growth over the last year and a half. But of that 194, we have 165 of those folks that are clinical staff, so pretty lean. Next slide. We have 4 locations. Our Belle Plaine, which is North Center, Broadway, which is right at the corner of Broadway and Hollywood, North Clark, which is at the corner of Clark and Lawrence, and then our North Avenue location, which is on North Avenue just west of Western. Next slide. And so I'm very excited to say that this information before you is incorrect, and that we have even began providing services out of our Belle Plaine location that we recently licensed to provide substance use disorder services. We see approximately 5,000 unduplicated clients annually and provide nearly 56,000 total service hours annually, serving over 50 zip codes. Next slide, please. And so I mentioned our cultural and service delivery philosophy. Our theory of change focuses on the individual needs, but most importantly focuses on the resources required to provide and facilitate recovery to our folks. That is important because, as I mentioned, this is blue-collar social work. The folks we serve aren't merely suffering from mental illness, but they also have significant socioeconomic barriers to their service delivery. And so we focus not only on the care we provide, but on the institutional and systemic issues that may have been a factor in the exacerbation of their mental illness as well. So we look at discriminatory public policies, community neglect and disinvestment, as I mentioned, the socioeconomic inopportunities and opportunities that often form barriers to care. Next slide, please. And so our belief is that we attempt to provide these services under the least restrictive platform for care. Because we deal with a population that has serious mental illness, for those, simply being able to live in the community is a win. And so the folks who provide these services are everything from our master's level licensed clinicians who provide the higher clinical levels of care. We also have a significant peer support, those folks with lived experiences that provide care as well. And our philosophy is that it is a partnership that um, um, between ourselves, the community, and the individuals we serve that provides that facilitates our ability to create healing for the folks we serve. Um, next slide, please. And so we have a strengths-based philosophy of care, which emphasizes that partnership that I mentioned between C4 and the network of family and friends to include the community. We provide case management services. This is so that we can connect our folks, the folks we serve, to infrastructure needed to provide stabilization. And that's everything from civic leaders, social service leaders, community partnerships to provide comprehensive wraparound services to our folks. We provide our clinicians ongoing training and professional development so we could provide the cutting edge those service deliveries that are on the forefront of cutting edge service models, always looking to see how we can better provide the highest level of service. We are a trauma-informed agency where we understand that a lot of our folk got to these positions through the traumas that they faced, but then also even understanding that the staff that provide these services may be on the end of vicarious traumas or even triggered by traumas that they've experienced. And so we are very cognizant of the impact of trauma in our service delivery model. Next slide, please. And so what I'll do is I'll tag in my Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Annette Love, to speak to short-term outcomes and long-term outcome and vision.
Thank you. So I like to describe C4 as a one-stop shop. Okay, we provide, and I'm going off the cusp, I don't read slides verbatim, but we provide pretty much every avenue of care, from crisis to individual, group, family, couples therapy, to case management, higher intensities, lower acuities, medication management. We're embedded in schools, literally a one-stop shop. And so with that being said, short-term outcomes, we hope that we help our clients meet the goals that they've set out to achieve. And so those are going to vary based off whether it's a social determinant of health, whether it is their desire to mend a broken family unit. We're going to set those goals based off what those clients need. So, and again, I'm going off the cusp. Short term is meeting what the client needs in the moment, okay? And then long term may be deriving in a place where you're able to manage your mental health diagnosis, okay? And that's going to look different for different clients. Someone who's dealing with schizophrenia, for example, that may look like they're able to manage auditory and visual hallucinations, right? Someone who's going through an adjustment with a divorce, for example, that might mean having a stronger self-esteem and feeling better about your interpersonal relationships. So we don't have cookie cutter treatment. We see people from all walks of life. And so short-term and long-term goals are going to vary based off the presentation. So again, totally went off the cusp, because with people business, it's almost a moving target every time. and we aim to make sure we're meeting the needs of those that present to us. So we can keep going to the next slide. All right. So I did mention crisis. We have a rapid response program that is a 24-hour program. We do screening, assessment, and support services, and that is for youth that are either in crisis at school, they might be at home. Some of the youth wind up in an emergency department. We have a 590 program that is a mobile crisis unit where we meet people directly in the community if they need support in the moment. And so we have a van that we call the Hope Van that is created to be a mobile office in a sense. And so we can go to shelters, we can go to libraries, we can go under the viaduct, and we can have someone join us in the back of that Hope Van and meet their need in that moment. If there is a crisis. We also facilitate the 988 suicide hotline. And so that is why you see someone to call, someone to respond, and somewhere to go. That is the model. And with our crisis continual program, if you call, we have someone to answer. If you're in the community, we have someone to show up, and we have somewhere for you to go. Okay. Next slide, please. All righty. Our adult services. So as Mr. Brown mentioned, we have 4 different office locations. Each office, we offer a variety of services in addition to those that are provided in the community. And so, for example, our outpatient therapy programs are at our Clark offices, North Avenue, Broadway, and now at our Belle Plaine office, we're offering outpatient mental health and substance use services. We have an older adults program, and I hope I'm not saying too much, I'm trying to be concise, but our older adults program is for individuals over the age of 55. We have a Threads of Compassion program for those who have experienced sexual trauma. As I mentioned, we have programs where we are actually embedded in Chicago Public Schools, where we work with youth on site there. Our case management programs, we offer both assertive community treatment, which is a higher intensity of individuals who need more chronic case management services. We also offer community support, which is a lower acuity for case management. And we do offer linkage to treatment. So we have some special relationships with other providers in the community where we can go to them and link them to our services if needed, somewhat of a linkage of care components. If you do not offer mental health treatment, we can bridge that gap and make sure that your people know that we're here to help. So next slide. Thank you. And I kind of already touched on youth and family services, but I will say that outside of being in Chicago, public schools, we're also seeing families in the community after hours, evenings and weekends. We just had a winter event for our families where they were able to come into the office. We had bags of treats, games for the family. We had food, we had activities for the families, for parents and youth to work on with their loved ones. And it was just a really good time. We had over 100 people show, and the staff are super committed to working with the young people. We see some really great turnouts with that program. Next slide. All righty. And specialized services, again, I kind of touched base on that. That's our assertive community treatment teams, our community support teams. What I didn't touch on is our drop-in center at our Broadway location. And that's a program where individuals can come in. They don't have to be a client of ours, but they can drop in. We have snacks, we have activities, we have a warm environment, we have some really awesome fish tanks. We have television, we watch movies. And so that's a place where people can just walk in. And if they are interested in support and mental health treatment, then we can bridge that gap. But if they just want to come by every day and just hang out and have a place to call their own, that's an option as well. One other piece that you all may have been exposed to is C4's work with art therapy. So we still have a program where our clients are learning how to do different art projects, how to express themselves, via the arts. And we have some amazing projects. I mean, I'm always excited to see some of their work, from pottery to canvas, paintings, drawings. They create stories and books. That is an amazing component to our program, and the clients really enjoy it. So,
Dr. Love, can you explain like the differences between a serve the community team and community support, so they, for the average person who may not understand?
Sure. So the acuity or the intensity of treatment is different. So for example, with an assertive community treatment team, the ratio is going to be smaller. So the amount of providers that help the clients, we keep it concise because these are people who need more help. It's a multidisciplinary team approach. So that particular program is going to have the psychiatric piece, the therapy piece, the peer support piece, the case management piece. Everybody is working collaboratively with those clients. And so those people, those individuals might be seen 2, maybe 3 times a week if needed. Whereas the community support team, these are individuals who need support, but not as intense. And so we see both of these groups of individuals primarily in the community. But CST, they can participate in groups, less interaction per week. The goal is, if you start in the ACT program, you'll step down into the CST program and then step down into our CSI program.
And so I wanted Dr. Love to highlight those programs, because when we state that we are a one-stop shop and we offer the full continuum of care, the only thing we don't provide at C4 are residential services. So the moment that someone is released from any form of institution, for the longest we had nursing homes, mental health nursing homes. And so there has been some national and state litigation that resulted in I wouldn't say a prohibition, but whenever we can, again, the least restrictive mode of care, excuse me, we can provide those services. And so it's more than just providing therapy services. We help folks navigate just day-to-day life. If you've been in the nursing home for the past 10 years and you need a higher level of care, imagine going from a nursing home where they told you when to wake up, when they told you to go to bed, to living 100% in the community. There are daily life skills that you need to be taught: how to navigate Social Security or your Medicaid program, or even how to shop or pay your own bills. Those are all skills that we here at C4 teach our clients and help our clients facilitate. Does that make sense? Thank you, Dr. Love.
Yep. Next slide, please. All righty. So actually, that is a picture of our Hope van. That is alongside our Clark location, and that is the actual van. And that's actually some of our team members. And so I mentioned previously linkage of care. And so this pathways piece is similar to another project we have with Lurie Children's Hospital. And this is more so care coordination. All right. So we have programs that are helping families get into the services that they need, whether it be, to Mr. Brown's point, therapy, case management, if they're interested in groups, if they need support with physical, medical health conditions. Those care coordinators will make sure that those families have everything they need in place to treat the whole person. So next slide.
And I'll add, part of the reason, you see the Hope van, our goal, and this is the state's goal, is to reduce unnecessary police intervention. My voice would be failing me now, excuse me. Reduce unnecessary police intervention. And so we mentioned 988, just so that you are familiar and understand. 988 is the mental health equivalent to 911. So when we have folks in crisis, the goal is you dial 988 so that we have the right tool for the job. We decided, we made a conscious decision not to put crisis on the side of the vehicle We didn't want the van to be stigmatizing. Um, we all know, I can't speak for anyone else, but I know the anxiety I feel when, you see those police lights pull up and they're for you, right? But imagine on being a family member or someone in crisis, what the complete polar opposite of seeing a van with the word hope pull up instead. We didn't want to over brandize it. We wanted to make it a welcoming and warm environment because crisis can happen anywhere. And so we didn't want to stigmatize it by putting crisis vehicle on the side so everyone is aware of what's going on. Simply Hope, we thought, delivered the right message for that moment. Go ahead, Annette, sorry.
No, it's okay. And so just to continue with this slide, our substance use and recovery services, I mentioned that we offer substance use treatment, but we are offering DUI evaluations. We offer individual counseling, individual services. We also offer an intensive outpatient program, small groups. And so with the intensive outpatient program, because I'm thinking Mr. Brown's going to need to elaborate, that particular program is a 3-hour a day, 3-day a week for several weeks. That's a more intense level of treatment. And from hospitalization, you have PHP, you have IOP, and you have outpatient. So for substance use and recovery, we're doing 2 levels of care directly under partial hospitalization programs. And we have just launched that about 3 to 4 months ago, making some really great progress with that piece. And we're just trying to make sure everybody knows that it's available to them. Next slide. Oh, I went through faster than I tried. So I was trying to be concise, but I went super fast. But in a nutshell, those are our clinical services, our clinical programs. If you all have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions about our services.
Or even the type of work that we do. So anything that crosses your mind.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
To get a better framework around all the things you do, how would you compare yourselves to an organization like Alternatives?
Like alternatives.
There are a couple of alternatives, so help us out.
Which one?
Well,
There's one on the west
this one's
side.
on the north side, I think in the kind of fringes of Uptown.
We provide very similar services. The scope of services of C4 is slightly larger because of the amount of crisis work that we do. On the slide, you might have seen that we've been providing crisis services for about 35 years, beginning with SAS, which is the screening and assessment that Dr. Love referenced with the youth. But between the 988 work, our work with SAS, with the youth, and our adult crisis, we're one of the preeminent crisis providers, and that's one of the things that sets us apart from other organizations.
Thank you.
We also have a question from Marshall. How do you obtain your clients and how do you finance your operations?
Great question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll do part 1 if you want to do part 2.
Okay.
But we get clients from a variety of sources. If there is a family that has experienced a crisis, we typically are able to link those families to our services. We receive referrals from other organizations that may not have the level of care that that person presents with. We get walk-ins, people who literally just walk in and they're interested in some level of care. Our 988 hotline, that suicide hotline, we get people through that avenue. And so there's a variety of ways to the front door. I call it our front door. And then as far as funding, I'll let either Ellen or Mr. Brown.
And I'll just tack on top of that. We have no wrong door. That's the most important part. However you contact us, we'll find the appropriate level of services for you. We do get a lot of referrals from hospitals for our higher acuity population. But, we, through the 988, our individual numbers, there is no wrong door. We'll make sure that we find the appropriate level services for you. Ellen, would you want to speak to our payer mix, which is something we're pretty proud of, because when I first got here, we were 95% Medicaid funded, but we've been able to recently diversify that funding significantly. So I'll let Ellen chime in.
Oh, I think we have, is it Dr. Nunez? I think you're still on mute.
Well, while he's coming around, I noticed that all of your facilities are on the north and northwest sides. How do people on the south side of Chicago able to access services, or do you have other organizations that you refer to on the south side of Chicago?
Primarily, our services are northeast to downtown, and from downtown to Oak Park, so west. We are looking to expand services on the west side. We are seeking an additional site for our west side. As I mentioned, we recently have begun our foray into substance use disorder services. Our goal is to separate the services with our youth and family and adolescent services from our adult services. So we are looking for an additional site. We primarily service Humboldt Park and East Garfield Park areas. However, we've been requested in the Austin area, and we, when there's a need and we get the invitation, we intend to meet that need. As far as South Side, we have partnerships with HRDI and Trilogies and some other partners on the South Side, and we refer if it's outside our scope. We also have partnerships with ADAS McKinley, where we actually share a DSA or a designated service area with ADAS McKinley going down. We stop at 35th Street, and then they help us on further south.
Alita, can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
How about the provision of drugs for patients who need them? Do you provide them with the drugs? Do you help them acquire the drugs through various programs, coupons, pharmaceutical, whatever? Tell me how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a pharmacy on site at our Broadway location. And so we're able to bridge that gap very seamlessly. Our clients can pick those up on site. And we also have psych providers that are offering mental health and substance use treatment. So anything they need, they can gain on site at that pharmacy.
Are there any other questions? I have one more. How do you all handle the great need for mental health services? I know many people who are looking for services, and they're told they have 3 to 4, 5, 6 months before they can even get paired with someone that, that can help them. How are you all seeing that, in your organization, and how are you addressing that?
A great question. And so it starts with collaboration. I remember when I first entered the field quite some time ago, I wouldn't say competitive, but everyone seemed to, hover over their piece of the pie, understanding that it is completely impossible to work ourselves out of a job, which is our goal. There's a lot more collaboration today than there was, a decade and a half ago. We share services whenever possible. C4 alone participates in no less than 5 collaboratives where we are using economy of scale to be more efficient. And whenever there's a time where there's a service that we can't provide, we lean on our community partners to do so. Also, we are heavily and actively involved in the workforce challenges. Understanding that the entire globe is describing the severe workforce shortages, there's no industry harder hit than mental health and substance use disorder services. It is estimated that by the year 2025, we'll be short 13,000 clinicians to meet the need in the state of Illinois. And then by 2027, we'll be short more than 3,500 providers. That is organizations like C4 to meet the needs. So we're working at every level. There's a summit in mid-February. Cook County is throwing. I sit on the state's workforce committee. Both Annette and Ellen sit on different committees at different levels, all trying to meet the workforce shortage to meet that need. I mentioned the amount of work that we do with children, and just imagine how heartbreaking it is to have to tell a parent that, yes, we've done an assessment of your child, they need inpatient care, but it's going to be a 30-day wait. And so we're attempting to work at every level to meet the need, but it is a real need, and it is a severe challenge.
Thank you so much for that. Does anyone else have questions?
John, I'll shut up. How about bilingual services? Thank you.
Yes, we do offer bilingual services, primarily Spanish speaking, but we do have some providers that speak other languages as well as sign language. But the need is more so with Spanish speaking providers. But yes, we have those as well.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I was going to say the exact same thing, Ellen, but we definitively need more. It is our collective goal that every level of the agency be representative, I can't get the word out, of the population we serve. So if from board members to executive leadership to the staff providing, we try to be representative of the folks we serve. So looking for board members as well. So if you know of anyone who would like to serve in that capacity, please let us know. If you know of any bilingual clinicians, please send them our way. We are actively hiring, but we have a very strong and growing service delivery in that area.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you
we
for
have some, we have some slides coming up. Give me just a second. And so we want to thank you today. In person, you would get a beautiful Rotary Club of Chicago coffee cup and a sample of Al's cookie mix cookies, which I will be sure to bring out to you all for you to have. Al's Cookie Mix is an organization that my friend Alvin Green started with his wonderful son that's there in that picture, who has autism, and he started Al's Cookie Mix so that him and his friends would be able to have employment once they aged out of the CPS system, which is at 21. And so he started Al's Cookie Mix for them to have jobs and be self-sufficient. So we are extremely proud to be a part of that. And it's just great. You get to make your own cookie dough and they ship it out to you. So if you go to their site, you can make your own mix of all your favorite things. So it's pretty awesome. Next slide. So thank you. We'll get that out to you, Mr. Brown and Dr. Love, since you all co-presented. We'll give both of you all something. And with that, I want to welcome our visiting Rotarians and guests. We do have 2 visiting Rotarians from Utah and 1 from Russia. So if you would like to unmute yourself.
Yeah, we're unmuted. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself to the group.
Actually, I wanted to introduce the incoming governor-elect of all of Russia, Alexei Grichin, and he is, if it's okay, he has like a couple minutes. He can say something.
Sure.
Hello, dear Rotarians. My English skills are not very good, so please bear with me. My name is Alexei Grichin. I am Rotary Governor-elect, District 2223 for all of Russia. Thanks for letting me participate in your meeting. As a true Rotarian, I couldn't help but take the opportunity and not visit the local club. My choice is your club. My Rotary Club is in Tolyatti in Russia. This town is situated on the river Volga, 1,000 kilometers from Moscow and 9,000 kilometers from Chicago. Tolyatti isn't a big city for Russian reality. The population is 800,000. Our club, Tolyatti, does about 10 projects every year. Some of the projects are for mutual understanding and peace with Rotary Hearts Awards, backpacks for kids at start of school year, maintenance of Rotary Park in our city, scholarship for gifted students, maintenance of water purification equipment installed in 5 orphanages, financial support of young Paralympic athletes. One of the main monuments in our town is the monument to devotion. Its construction was one of the main and most important projects of our club. Now let me tell you some words about myself. There are 4 of us in the family, my wife, me, and 2 children. I work as a general manager of Tech Group. Our company deals with producing the water treatment equipment and reagents. Last week, I was in Orlando for International Assembly. It was much warmer there, but a warm Rotarians welcome makes up for cold outside. I'm glad that I met many interesting and kind people from many countries on this trip. I hope that all of us together will be peacemakers and rid the world of conflicts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for visiting us, and I look forward to seeing you today at 4 o'clock. If anyone would like to join us, we'll be at the Union League Club at 4, having a little early dinner so that we could still welcome our wonderful guests. So thank you so much. Yes,
Thank you.
Evan?
Yes, I just want to say I'm a visiting Rotarian as well from Claremont, California. And, I would just like to compliment all of you and Illinois for its leadership role in providing community-based care rather than jail. You are paving the way nationally. I wish I could say that California was as far along as Illinois is in providing deflection from the criminal justice system by providing care to people who need it.
Thank you so much, Evan. I still consider you a Rotary One member, so that's why I didn't call you as a visiting Rotarian, but thank you so much. The slides again. So those are all of our visiting Rotarians, international and US. Next slide. We always invite our guests to learn more about Rotary One and our wonderful events that we have. So everything is on our website and also other great options and things that we have. Next slide. And our next upcoming meetings that we have, please go to the website. You can register for any of those meetings, and we would love to have you invite a friend. We have some really great speakers coming up that we would love for you all to be a part of. Our next volunteer opportunity, again, is every week at Cornerstone, where we where I lead the kitchen there for the soup kitchen, and our staff comes in. Our volunteers come in to help us prep. It's from 2 to 5, and from 5 to 7:30, they help us to serve our guests that come in. They get to sit down and we serve them dinner. We sometimes play bingo. We definitely do karaoke every week. It's a thing. But we would love to have more people come in. I know Wes wanted to speak about the dictionary project.
Yes, we're about to restart the dictionary project. There will be more information about this project in next week's Gyrator. And some of you, of course, are very familiar with this. If you are volunteering, by all means, email me. The office can provide that email if you need it, or for that matter, it's in our directory. The best thing about this whole project is the contact you have with real live 8-year-olds. And I can only strongly recommend that you volunteer for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Back to the slides. Excellent. We will always ask one to donate to the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation makes all the great things that we do happen. Everything that we donate to the foundation, we get a portion of that back in 3 years, and that's how we fund most of our international service projects, because it doubles, sometimes triples the money that we are able to donate, that we are able to give to different grants and things that we have. And we have our wonderful Bolivia project that's coming up next month that you get to see hands-on where our money goes. And so those things can't happen without your donation to the Rotary Foundation and to the Rotary One Foundation. For members, you can download the Ignite app. It's a great way to register, pay your bill, recruit new members, and sign up for club events. And it's also great to take service selfies, and it goes straight to our office so they can upload them. Here's a QR code to get our weekly newsletter. We will love to have you on our email list so that you can see all the great things that we are doing, all the great speakers. Most of our meetings are hybrid meetings, so you can always join except for our Tuesday evening meetings, which are usually offsite. Our upcoming committee meetings, our PR and marketing meeting on January 18th. Our International Service Committee is this Saturday at 4 o'clock. It's going to be at Marga Huco's home. She's inviting everyone over for a great chili dinner. Our DEI committee meetings on January 23rd. It's not up here, but our Job One committee meeting is up and going. And our next meeting is January 29th. So we would love to have everyone to come out to be a part of that committee. As we know, Job One is our signature project. So applications are out for our students as of Monday. And we also need employers. So please help us find any great employers who would be interested in hiring our really great students for the summer. Our community service meeting is Thursday, February 1st. Always the first Thursday of the month at noon. And our membership committee meeting is on Tuesday, February 13th. Most of our meetings are held over Zoom. And all our wonderful upcoming meetings are Friday roundtables, where we just get together and have some great fellowship. Maria Plotnikova, hope I said that right, on January 23rd. Alex Cruz on the 30th. And Dennis Mellon on February 6th, which will also be at the Union League Club. Always remember our lunch and refund policy. We have to get our reservation numbers into the Union League Club by Fridays at 9 a.m. So we need to know if people aren't able to come as soon before that time, or at that point, we've already given our guarantee. So please understand. And it's time. Happy birthdays for this month, Timo, Nancy, Mike Ferris, Ade. Happy birthday to all of you all. And we wish we could be in person, but I'll still get you birthday cake at the next meeting. And with that, we will recite the four-way test. Of the four-way test of the things that we think, say, or do. Number one, is it the
Is it
truth?
the truth?
Number two,
Is it
is
fair
it
to
fair
all
to
Fair
all
to all
concerned?
concerned.
concerned?
Number three,
Will
Will
it
it
build
build
goodwill
goodwill and better friendships?
and number four, will it be
Will it be
beneficial to
beneficial
all
to all
concerned?
concerned? And we say number five, will it be
Will it be
fun?
fun?
Yes. And with that, we adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much for coming into our meeting today. I hope everyone stays warm and has a great week.
Great. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.
You all. Bye-bye.